Whether you're just starting to consider filming your fishing adventures, maybe you're a beginner and already have got started, or maybe you've been making your fishing videos for a while now and are just looking for some ideas. Well, this 3-part video series should have something for you. I'm going to go over what I've learned in the past 10 years of filming my fishing adventures. I'm going to provide a bunch of useful tips, and at the end I'm going to provide a gear list with links to take the work out of it for you. If you're new to the channel, my name is Barry Rager. My channel's name, Rage Fishing, is a play off my last name, Rager. Rage is a nickname I had acquired at work, and so I named the channel Rage Fishing. Now, I've been filming my fishing trips for about 10 years. In fact, I have my first camera with me right here. It's a GoPro Hero 2. I bought it in 2012. Now, when I started filming my fishing trips, I had no intent of starting a YouTube channel or even sharing them publicly, quite honestly. But the reason that I had started filming is I'm an avid winter steelhead fisherman. And most of the rivers I fish are native runs, and so I'd have these incredible battles with these awesome fish, and I would release it without even a photo because I don't want to monkey around trying to get my phone out to get a picture of these winter fish. So I started filming, but unfortunately at that time I didn't have a computer that was capable of editing high definition video, so I had all this footage for years before I was able to do anything with it. Anyway, in 2016, I bought a really nice top-of-the-line Apple iMac and started doing some editing. Initially, I released the videos just to friends and family on YouTube. That's something that you can do if you don't want to publicly have a YouTube channel. But ultimately, I decided to start sharing it to the general public. So in this video series, I'm going to cover the cameras I use in part 1, that's this video here. In part 2, I'm going to go over all of the mounting systems that I use. And in part 3, I'm going to go over some strategies, how I do my editing, how I set up my cameras, and how I store all of that high definition footage. So let's go ahead and get started here with the cameras that I use. So I exclusively use GoPro Heroes when I'm out fishing. The only exception to GoPros is like this video I'm filming with the Canon M50 with external microphone. Now the reason I don't want to carry that camera around out in the field with me is 1, it's big and bulky, and 2, it's not waterproof. That's the beauty of GoPros, is they're small, they're lightweight, they're shockproof, and most importantly, they're waterproof. So let's start out with this model here. I wouldn't recommend going any lower than the Hero 8. I really like the Hero 8 because it's super lightweight. It's still the size of some of the old Heroes, so it's lightweight. Like for applications where you want to wear it on your head. I know that's kind of a nerdy way to wear your GoPro, but it gives you a really good perspective. And sometimes, like when I'm pontoon fishing, I like to wear it on the head, so it's because if you're wearing a chesty, it kind of interferes with your view. So the other thing nice about the Hero 8, which is better than the previous models, is it's got image stabilization. Now the downfall of the Hero 8 is it's got smaller batteries like the older cameras like the Hero 5, 6, and 7, and so they don't last quite as long as the Heroes 9 and 10. A step up from the Hero 8 is the Hero 9. Now this camera came out in late 2020. It's a little bit bigger. If you can see that, it's quite a bit heavier. The batteries are bigger, but they last a little bit longer. The Hero 8 has just a digital display. The Hero 9 has an actual display, like if you want to use it for vlogging. Thanks to my wonderful wife, Janina, she's helping me demonstrate how to use the Hero 10 for vlogging, utilizing the viewfinder, and she's recording with my iPhone 11 Pro, utilizing 4K. And we have Percival feeding in the background, our pet squirrel. And if you're like setting up a tripod and you kind of want to see what the frame looks like without having to walk around to the back side of the camera, that could also come in handy. Like let's say I sometimes clip this onto my pontoon and I don't have access to the back screen. But the Hero 9 has a step up in image stabilization, and it also has a really cool feature that is called horizontal leveling. So I'm going to show you a couple clips that kind of demonstrate the horizontal leveling compared to the Hero 8 with just the image stabilization. During Steelhead Road Trip, David was wearing my Hero 8, which doesn't have the horizontal leveling, and I was wearing actually my Hero 10, which does have horizontal leveling like the Hero 9 does. So let's go ahead and take a look at those clips just to kind of see the difference.
Ooh, it's a big one. It's coming your way.
Oh, dude, that's a big fish. Yep.
So as you can see, when David's moving around, when he's fighting a fish or he's trying to help me land a fish, his camera's moving back and forth. Now, it's understandable with action cameras that that's going to be in there, but if you saw the footage from my Hero 10, you could see that everything stays layout level and it just makes the video footage just look that much better. Now, a step up from the Hero 9 is the Hero 10. Now, I have it in this media mod. I'll explain that in a little bit here, but it's essentially the same size as the Hero 9. It's got what they call Hyper Smooth 4 as far as image stabilization, so it's supposed to be a step above the Hero 9. It also records in a little bit higher resolution, which isn't really helpful to me because I film in 4K 30 frames per second, but the Hero 9 goes up to 5K and this goes up to 5.3K. So as far as these other cameras, the old Hero 2 and the Hero, I just don't use them anymore. They only film in 1080 30 frames per second, and I film almost everything in 4K. So I have a couple of old Hero 5s that used to be my primary camera, and I use them now mainly for B-roll. You can see I have them mounted with some bicycle mounts, and I use that to attach to the tower on Daryl's North River that we were using for Chinook fishing a few weeks ago. But I can also set these up on a little tripod, carry it along with me when I'm fishing, set it up, record some time lapse, or just some overall B-roll that you can use just to kind of break up your videos and make it more interesting. So now let's go over accessories. To start out with, GoPros have removable batteries. The batteries in the 9 and 10 last about an hour depending on the temperature. The Hero 8 is probably more like about 45 minutes of runtime, so you want to have additional batteries. The 8, 9, and 10 all have a battery door that's super easy to manipulate. This is a tip, and I know that some people have difficulty getting these doors open. Put a little bit of pressure on the door while you push down on that lever, and that opens up that compartment right there. The batteries pull out super easy. There's a little tab that you can pull the battery directly out. Makes it for really quick battery changes. These old Hero 5s had a housing you had to remove to get to the battery compartment, so it was just kind of a pain. The newer cameras are much easier than that. So what I would recommend is, depending on how long you're going to be fishing, have enough batteries to cover that entire time. Like, I have 6 total batteries for my Hero 8, so here's 5 extras, and I actually have an additional 7 batteries, so a total of 8 for my Hero 9 and 10. Now, I know what some people are thinking. They're like, well, why don't you use an external battery pack? Well, fishing for steelhead, I'm primarily wading, so I'm not in a boat, and it's oftentimes raining. When you use an external battery pack, it's compromising the waterproofness of the camera. Not to mention, if you take a dip in the river, like I've done a couple times, let's go ahead and take a couple looks at that footage.
In the drink. But I got her.
So as you can see, those cameras got completely submerged, so if I was running an external battery pack, it probably would have fried my camera. But regardless, the batteries are easy to change. They're fairly inexpensive. They're about 20 bucks a piece. And so I just have at least enough batteries to cover me for my fishing day. And 6 batteries, including the one that's in the camera, is usually enough for me for a full day of fishing. So here's a little tip for you. Now, I keep my extra batteries in one of these pint-sized Ziploc freezer bags just because they're heavy duty, but inside they're each in their own 2x3 Ziploc bag as well. And I'll put the link to these Ziploc bags in the description field. But what you do is when you switch batteries, it's pretty obvious which side is up and down. Put your spent battery back in that bag upside down. And that way when you put it back in the bag or you put it back in your chest pack or pocket, you know that that battery's spent and needs to be recharged. So there's a handy little tip for you. So now let's talk about the application where you would use an external battery pack. And I do this when I'm fishing on nice days, and mainly for my tripod camera or a camera that's hard mounted on something that I don't think is going to accidentally get dropped in the water. And so what you do is you can take off the door on the Hero 8 through 10. So the door on like this Hero 9, it just pops right off, just like so. And you can get these replacement doors that has a hole so that you can plug in your camera. Now, when you do this, your camera is no longer waterproof. But that goes right on just like that. You take a USB-C cord, plug it right in, and then you plug that right into like an external battery pack like this one right here. And that way, I have kind of a short cord here, but that way if let's say you're running this on a chesty, you can put your external battery pack like in a pocket, and that way you don't have to worry about changing your battery. It will stay charged the entire time you're fishing. Obviously you have to keep track of your SD card because it only has so much memory. Another thing I would recommend is a battery charger. Now this is a battery charger for a 9 or 10. It just comes with a USB-C cord and you plug that in and it'll charge 2 batteries at a time. It's a different charger for the Hero 8. But if you're running batteries like I am, you need an external charger. That way you don't have to plug your camera in with the battery inside just to charge the battery. It just makes it a little bit easier. So next, let's talk about this media mod that I just bought for my Hero 10. Now, I was having some problems with my external microphone using my Hero 9, and so I ended up buying this media mod, which is about 80 bucks from GoPro. And what it is it's a housing that has an external microphone. It also has some plugins back here for a second microphone or a USB-C so that you can go ahead and plug in and keep it charged. This is probably how I'm going to start running with an external microphone. I added also the light mod, which is pretty sweet. It's pretty darn bright. It has 3 settings. Actually 4, because it has this crazy flashy setting, and hold down to turn off. And then it has a little diffuser that comes with it. The light mod is an additional 50 bucks. I know that's a lot of money, and there are some other options that you can get for lighting that is a little bit cheaper, but they're not this small. So I think this is a pretty good setup right now. It adds the external mic, it adds the ability to plug in. Now, they say this is water resistant. It's not completely waterproof because you do have to remove the battery door to put the media mod on. But I've been super happy with this media mod. The audio is just pretty awesome. I'll play a little clip from a recent bass fishing trip just to kind of give you an idea of what it sounds like.
Now, last bass fishing trip I went on, I was wearing my chesty with my GoPro, and my hands were constantly in the camera's way. So yeah, I look like a dork wearing this hat camera set up, but it gives you the best perspective.
Now to me, that's pretty clear audio and it's really picking up well. And what's kind of cool about it is it also has the ability to record from the front and the back, or just the front or the back. So if you're gonna run an external microphone like a Rode, or maybe even want like a powered microphone, and that's totally possible with GoPros, but you want to have like some sort of a housing like this. Like this housing, this piece here is about 20 bucks. This is for a Hero 9 or 10. Where GoPro gets you though, is if you're going to run an external microphone, you have to have a GoPro microphone adapter, and these things are 50 bucks. And not only does this have a microphone adapter, but it also has a USB-C port so that you can plug it in and charge while you're recording. Almost all of my tripod footage that I've recorded and talking head stuff when I'm out on the river has been done with this setup here, because I've only had that about a month, even though that's probably going to take precedence over this one. So as far as the parts you need for this setup, you need the housing, which is about 20 bucks. You need the microphone adapter, which again is 50 bucks. This is a Rode Video Micro, I believe the model is. It's $55. So if you think about it, you got 50 bucks, 70 bucks, and then another 55. So we're looking at 125 bucks for this setup versus paying $80 for the media mod that essentially does the same thing. I'm not saying that this audio is necessarily better than using like a Rode external mic, but maybe you want to use a powered mic so it really picks up sound from a distance. But this is what you would need, this kind of setup, to be able to run an external mic if you don't have a media mod. So while I'm talking about external microphones, I would also bring up that another option is to use a lapel mic. This thing has never been used. I bought it several years ago and I have yet to use it, but this is an option like if you get a lot of breathing noises, and sometimes in my videos it's picked up on these cameras and I don't like it, but I'm just kind of like, this is one less thing I have to do is to put this thing on. But if you're gonna use a lapel mic like this, you still need to have that microphone adapter, which is 50 bucks. I think these lapel mics are pretty cheap. This is a Boya. I want to say I paid like 20 bucks for it. But since I'm speaking about microphones, I just got to say that audio is super important to your videos. So with the new cameras, the 8, 9, and 10, even the old Hero 5s, they have external microphones that are okay, like the built-in ones. But if you want to take it a step up, getting a lapel mic or an external microphone for your like tripod camera is really going to make your video quality that much better because the audio is going to be so much more clear. So next, let's talk about SD cards. Now, I recommend at least using SanDisk Extremes, which are the little gold and red SD cards, but mostly now I use Extreme Pros, which are the black and red SD card. I use 128 gigabyte SD cards because that gives me about 5 hours of footage in the Hero 10 or about 4 hours in the Hero 9 and 8. And I don't know why it's different, but it is. There's something about the programming in the newer 10 that gives you a little bit more filling time. Now, you can go up to a 256 gigabyte SD card. I certainly have a bunch of them. That'll give you up to about 8 hours in the Hero 8 or Hero 9. But for me, I like to have a bunch of different SD cards, and the 128s are about half the price of a 256, and it's usually enough for a day of fishing. So now let me give you another helpful tip. When you put an SD card in your camera, or when you're going to erase the footage on your SD card, go into the preference menu, go down to Format SD Card, and hit that. It'll erase all the data, and it formats the SD card for your camera. In the past, I would just delete the file footage off of the SD cards, and I noticed that my SD card wasn't holding as much footage. Well, it doesn't actually delete everything off the SD card. I don't know the science behind it, but basically the bottom line is when you put your SD card in to erase it before you go fishing, go ahead and format the SD card, which will also delete all the footage off these cards. So another accessory that I would recommend are lens protectors. Now, basically the lens protector goes on the rear touchscreen, and the touchscreen still works, but it just protects it so that if you get something on the lens or if you fall down and end up scratching that, you can replace that lens protector. Now, what's cool about the Hero 9 and 10 is the whole front lens on the camera actually is removable. So I have an extra one so that if I actually scratch it up, I can just replace it. And that way I don't have to put a screen protector over the top. I don't think it probably interferes much with that footage, but I think it is possible. Anytime you're adding a lens or material to your lens, it's going to bring your footage down ever so slightly, and it could potentially cause some reflections and things like that. So I don't put them on my 9 and 10, but I have them on my 8 and my 5s. The other thing that the screen protectors come with usually are these little caps, and they're kind of nice so that when you're just in storage, you can put the cap over your like Hero 9 lens. Unfortunately, the Hero 8 is so flush they don't come with them, but for the Hero 9 and the Hero 10, you can put these protectors right over the lens to kind of protect it while you're in transport at least. Just don't forget to take them off when you start to film. So I've had a couple questions in the past about how to reduce wind noise, like if you're driving in a boat and it's picking up all that wind noise, or it's just a real windy day. One option is you can get these foam covers for your camera. They kind of make it tough to remove batteries and stuff like that, but it basically just kind of covers up the area of the microphones and it reduces the wind noise, and those are only about 10 bucks. As a reminder, the cameras and all of these accessories are listed down below in the description filled with links. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comment field. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing, hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. If I earned it, give me a thumbs up, that helps me out on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on part 2.